I give it another couple minutes and we'll kick it off. All right, we're going to get started here. So good morning. Thank you for joining us today. My name's Sarah. I'm Outreach Director for Congressman Ryan McKenzie here in the district. And on behalf of Congressman McKenzie and our office, we appreciate you taking the time to join us to this webinar to learn more about how to protect yourself this tax season. Today's session is intended to provide general information on how to recognize, avoid, and report tax-related fraud and scams. We're pleased to welcome two outstanding presenters today from the Pennsylvania Attorney General's Office and the IRS Criminal Investigation Unit, who will share valuable insights on this topic from both state and federal perspectives. Just want to go over a few housekeeping items here first. We would like to note that this is a nonpartisan informational call and will not include discussions or opinions on policies or legislative positions. We ask that questions on this call today remain focused on implementation and available resources as it relates to tax fraud and scams. But please feel free to share your thoughts and opinions by calling one of our district offices or visiting our website at mckenzie.house.gov. Mics will be set to remain muted for the duration of the program, and if you have any questions, you can place them in the chat box. After the completion of the presentation, we will go through and answer them as time allows. I want to reiterate that tax fraud and scam cases, as well as criminal investigations that may arise from them, are highly individualized and depend on specific facts and circumstances. Accordingly, the information provided here is for general education purposes only and should not be construed as legal or investigative advice. For advice specific to your situation, you may wish to consult a qualified tax and/or legal professional. While we will cover common scenarios and try to answer all questions on a general level, not all questions may be addressed during today's webinar. If your question appears to be highly specific and require a deeper review, or we cannot get to your question in time, a member of our team will reach out to you after the call to learn more and help connect you with the appropriate resources. This webinar will be recorded and will be posted onto our website at mckenzie.house.gov as a resource for those who could not attend today. With that, I'd like to introduce our first presenter, David Shallcross of the Pennsylvania Attorney General's Office, who will be kicking off the presentation this morning. So over to you, Dave.
All right. Well, thank you, Sarah. I appreciate the invitation. On behalf of our Attorney General, Dave Sunday, we thank you for joining the webinar. And we also want to thank Congressman McKenzie for hosting such an important venue today. I'm going to bring up some slides that we can use during our presentation. So bear with me one moment. And here we are. So we're going to be talking about fraud and scams. And this is a general conversation in the beginning of what is a fraud and a scam and how they work and what we can do to not become that victim. And then later in the program, you're going to hear from other specialists who are going to educate you on the scenarios that we're seeing relating to tax and IRS scams.
Dave, you're muted.
I don't know how that happened. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Our Bureau of Consumer Protection fielded more than 4,000 complaints just last year of people who've been scammed. Now, that sounds like a lot, right? 4,000 complaints, but that's really not, because most people fail to report, which is a problem. People are embarrassed. People feel ashamed. They're afraid of retribution. But, the concept is you have to tell someone. You can't live with the stress and the anxiety of being scammed. You have to get a report. I am here to help you. I am not here to embarrass you in any way. We're not looking at that. We're not going to call your family and say, I got mom on the phone again. Guess what she did? We're not doing that, right? We're here to protect you. We're here to serve you. And we're talking over $76 million lost in just those 4,000 complaints. So imagine if that's actually a triple of that number. Imagine what kind of dollars we're talking about. So all the scams that you're going to hear about today have a structure, a foundation. And basically, it's going to be very simple. You can detect a scam without hearing the cover story. You're going to hear about different types of schemes related to your taxes and IRS and your identity. But look at this sudden contact. You're not expecting to hear from someone. They reach out to you, whether by phone, text, email, letter, in person, doesn't matter. They want you to act now. Act now. Urgency. Do it right away. They're asking for money or your information, personal or financial information. And often they'll add, keep this a secret. Don't let anyone know what we're talking about. Well, if you look at the first letter of sudden, contact, act, money, and secret, it spells it out, doesn't it? SCAMS spells scams. So when you have this sudden contact, you're told to act right away. They're asking for money or information, even if they include keeping it a secret. You can pretty much bet that it's a possible scam. So watch out for these. Little quiz. What technology uses the following features? It can enhance scams, correct spelling and grammar, create reports, scripts, and articles, copies images and vocal tracks, and it can alter video files and voiceovers. What do we think that is, folks? Well, it's artificial intelligence, known as AI. It can also create and clone an entire website. It can create humans that do not exist. A person can be on a video speaking to you, holding a conversation for up to 45 minutes seamlessly and not even be a real person. Totally created by the computer using the AI program. Now, my grandpop used to always have a saying, I'll believe it when I see it with my own two eyes. Sadly, today, that is no longer true. You know, you could get a document that looks like a tax document. It could be AI, totally fake. You could get an article telling you that there's some type of new program with IRS or Social Security, totally fake. You could get a message, a letter signed by someone in charge, a higher up, one of our public officials, totally faked with AI. And of course, the videos, voiceovers. It only takes 7 seconds of a voice sample to replicate it perfectly with AI programs. I mean, rhythm of speech, pitch, tone. It is that person's voice. And if you don't believe me, I'll tell you, here's a little homework assignment this afternoon. Go to YouTube, type in actor Morgan Freeman AI video speech. Everyone knows Morgan Freeman, right? Fantastic actor, great, great guy. And he's got that super smooth, cool voice. I could listen to him talk for hours. I love his voice. And he has a kind of a unique look, even. Well, there's a video with Morgan Freeman telling you a story, but you're going to find out what the surprise is if you watch the video. It's not Morgan Freeman. So whether it's in writing, online, a text, an email, a video, even a phone call, verify everything before you act because AI is there and it is very difficult to detect. Scams are successful because of emotional triggers. This is one of the key factors. They also use psychology and timing, but the emotional trigger is what gets us to not think clearly and to act some way that we're being directed that we wouldn't normally. And love is an emotion, right? So we have romance scams, grandma, mom in trouble, our family members in distress, financial gain or loss, right? Hey, you owe money. You're going to have to pay this right away or go to jail. Or congratulations, you've won the sweepstakes. You're a big winner. Did you enter the contest? You have to stop and think because that emotional trigger is going to make us kind of foggy and we're not going to be focused. Joy, good news. Watch these great videos of the grandkids, and you're not even paying attention to see where the email came from. You click on the link, you load spyware or malware. Or again, the sweepstakes, lottery, you won a cruise. Congratulations. You're the candidate for the job we've been looking for. You've been hired, right? All sorts of great things. And fear. Fear is a big one, right? You missed jury duty this morning. We're coming to arrest you. Or you can send me $500 in gift cards. That's a scam, right? Fear, someone's in danger. Your family member has been kidnapped and they're held hostage. You see a video that you click on, and there's your granddaughter in distress, screaming and begging for help. She's not even there. Could be AI. So we really, really want us to take a moment, take a deep breath, and the key to everything is verification. Verify the source. Where is this coming from? How do I know if it's real? Another clue, top payment forms that scammers are requesting. Wire transfers of funds. This is when money is wired electronically from bank to bank. It also includes MoneyGram and Western Union type services. So be careful of these. Phone to phone peer apps, Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, these type of things, PayPal. Make sure you know who you're connected with and why, and make sure it's verified before you send the transaction. If you receive mystery money, we call it mystery money. All of a sudden, there's money in your account you weren't expecting. You shortly get a message afterwards telling you they made a mistake. Please send it back right away. That's a phantom deposit. The money is not in the account. It appears that it is. You're going to send your hard-earned dollars and you're out. Cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. Well, we don't have time today to get deep into the weeds here, but if you're not an expert in cryptocurrency, do not engage in it until you become an expert. Don't let someone push you into buying crypto, Bitcoin, any of these. Do not get talked into it. It's in a great investment. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, a couple quick red flags. They can be completely anonymous. We won't know who to track. We can track the fund on the blockchain, on the ledger. We see where the money moved, but we don't know who it is. Can't serve a search warrant, can't serve a subpoena. They use foreign exchanges that won't even honor law enforcement documents from the United States. There's no safety net. There's no gold standard or Federal Reserve Bank supporting this. There's no insurance. If it collapses, you're out your money. Very difficult to conduct an investigation on cryptocurrency exchanges. And the scammers are loving this because it's the wild, wild west of finance. Don't do it. And the bank does not have to be paying you back when you make any willful transactions of any of these methods. And of course, gift cards. We've all been told gift cards are for gifts, not for payments. Quick tips, don't answer your phone if you don't know the caller, right? Only answer to people that are in your contacts. Let everyone else go to voicemail. Never click on a link if you're texted or emailed telling you that there's important tax files you must see. Don't click on that, open that file until you verify who sent it and why. Watch out for text messages that you're receiving a discount coupon of up to 70% off your favorite store. It might look like the store's logo on the message, but it may not be them. Never click the links. Never provide personal or financial information to someone contacting you. Question those uncommon payment methods we just went through. And the key to everything, of course, is to verify before you comply. So verification is a trusted source. Your monthly statement or bill has the customer service number. Local government office. Stop and see Congressman McKenzie's staff. Sarah will help you out getting the number for the IRS or any other agency. Your local contacts in your phone. Nonprofits like the AARP has a lot of great information. Federal Trade Commission has great information. And of course, our office, Pennsylvania Office of Attorney General. Report, report, report. Local agencies, police, FBI at www.ic3.gov. Federal Trade Commission at ftc.gov. And our office, you can call or email us. Our phone number is 1-800-441-2555. You can email scams@attorneygeneral.gov. And you can go online at attorneygeneral.gov to get a complaint form, our scam complaint form. That's my time for the program today. We're going to turn things over to our experts from the IRS.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Neka Sutherland. I am a supervisory special agent with IRS Criminal Investigation. I'm assigned to the Philadelphia Field Office, which covers Lehigh County. I'm here today with Special Agent Michael Royce, who you will hear from shortly into the presentation. Before we go into the presentation, I want to take a moment to tell you a bit about who we are. IRS is the only federal law enforcement agency with jurisdiction over criminal violations of the Internal Revenue Code. While tax enforcement remains our core mission, nearly every significant financial crime has a tax or financial component. IRS has 3,000 employees, of whom 2,000 of them are special agents. We have 18 field offices across the country and more than a dozen attaché posts, which position our workforce to be at the cornerstone of the federal government's financial crime enforcement efforts. Throughout 2025, IRS-CI's mission has remained steady and focused on combating tax and financial crimes. We continue to focus on identifying and investigating cases of tax and financial fraud, those that directly threaten U.S. taxpayers and those that target government programs through fraud, waste, and abuse. At IRS-CI, we believe this type of outreach is essential to educating taxpayers about identity theft schemes and other forms of fraud, particularly during filing season, which we're currently in. By getting the word out to taxpayers on how to identify, avoid, and prevent scams, we can continue working towards stopping them once and for all. At least that's what we hope. Around this time of year, IRS announces its annual Dirty Dozen list of scams that threaten the tax and financial information of taxpayers, businesses, and tax professionals. For more than 2 decades, the IRS has used the Dirty Dozen list to flag emerging scams that taxpayers should watch out for. You can find this list on irs.gov. The 2 items at the top of the list this year is impersonation of IRS by email, text, and phone, and AI-enabled IRS impersonation. As phone scams are evolving, AI has provided new computer-generated tactics and spoofed caller identification to look legitimate. Robocalls, texts, and phishing emails from scammers have increased compared to previous years, with artificial intelligence likely increasing fraud attempts and the level of sophistication. Scammers send emails, direct messages, which are also known as DMs, and texts that appear to be from the IRS. They often use alarming language or QR codes to send people fake websites where they ask a taxpayer to verify accounts or enter personal information or claim refunds. The IRS urges taxpayers not to click on these links or open attachments from unexpected messages and to report suspicious IRS-related emails, text messages, and DMs. IRS reported over 600 social media impersonators last year. As a reminder, individuals should never click on any unsolicited communication claiming to be from the IRS, as it may install malware surreptitiously. These links may install malicious software, including ransomware, on a taxpayer's personal device. This could potentially prevent access to their personal information or their files. Now, what's the biggest red flag to look for when you're getting a call or a text message to know that that is not really the IRS? Well, if you have someone threatening you about money, that's not the IRS. We're in the middle of filing season, and a lot of times people dread this time of year because that means opening up your finances to the government. This is prime time for fraudsters to come in and threaten our taxpayers. They even threaten them with arrest if they're not complying with their demands. If you're receiving an email or a text message or a phone call that appears like it's an imminent threat, that's also a scam. What I will caution you and advice I will give you is, if you get these, take a moment, pause. Reach out to someone you trust, your loved one, and just run this by them. Sometimes all you need is a second set of ears or eyes, and you're going to be able to quickly figure out that that is a scam. Now, how do you know or verify that it is in fact the IRS trying to contact you? Well, IRS usually sends letters or notices through the United States Postal Service. In some instances, the IRS may call you, but that's only after sending out official notices or by mail first. The important thing to note here is that IRS will never demand payment over the phone or threaten to arrest you. Now, do keep in mind that because we're special agents, we investigate financial crimes, criminal violations. So that means that our job may entail coming to your house unannounced. But in that case, we will present you with our badge and our credentials for you to verify who we say we are. But in all that, we will not intimidate you or demand payment or threaten to arrest you at that moment. Another thing that the Dirty Dozen list has in it is misleading tax advice on social media. There's been a surge in fraudulent tax advice on social media. These scams often involve claims that everyone qualifies for certain credits, promises of easy or fast refund with minimal documentation, or instructions to go amend your tax returns. Filing a tax return with false information or claiming credits you do not qualify for could lead to refund delays, audits, penalties, or even worse. Social media-driven misinformation and disinformation remains a major driver of tax scams. Now, I'm going to spend a moment to tell you about how to select a legitimate tax preparer. When selecting a legitimate tax preparer, consider the following steps to ensure you choose a qualified professional. Check for a PTIN. A PTIN is a preparer's tax identification number. Ensure that the preparer has a PTIN from the IRS. Paid preparers must sign and include their PTIN on any tax return they prepare. When a preparer refuses to sign or provide their PTIN, that's a major red flag. Avoid preparers who will not sign the tax returns. Taxpayers should never sign a blank tax document. Remember, you as a taxpayer are legally responsible for what appears on your tax return, even if you go to a tax professional. Another thing you should do is verify their credentials. Look for preparers with professional credentials recognized by the IRS or those who have completed the IRS annual filing season program. A tax preparer could be an enrolled agent who is someone licensed directly by the IRS. Enrolled agents have unlimited representation rights before the IRS and have passed a comprehensive tax exam. A tax preparer could also be a certified public accountant who's licensed by state courts and can provide specialized tax advice. Another thing you should do is review their service fee. Be sure to ask them right away, what is your fee? Be wary of preparers who promise large refunds or charge fees based on the size of your refund. Preparers may try to make a quick profit by promising you a big refund or charging fees based on the size of your refund. Some unethical tax preparers charge percentage-based fees to falsely inflate refunds, often leading to fraud. Ask for a completed return when they prepare your tax return. Ensure the preparer asks to see your records and receipts before filing your tax returns. A good tax return preparer would want to see what documents you have to support the preparation of your tax return. And most importantly, be sure to review your completed return. Ask questions if you don't understand what's on a return. If a number doesn't make sense to you, ask them to explain it to you. Because again, you're responsible for what's on your tax return. Be sure to review the bank information, your routing number and your bank account number that appears on your tax return. Do not agree to having your tax preparer deposit your tax refund into their account and then getting the money to you. Make sure your bank account number and routing number is correct and that the refund goes directly into your bank account. Now, here are a few reminders based on what was just covered. Remember that IRS will contact you by mail first. We do not leave urgent, threatened, or pre-recorded messages, and we do not call demand an immediate payment or threaten arrest. Another scam you would see on a Dirty Dozen list is identity theft. Identity theft is one of the most common forms of fraud around tax season and always finds itself on a Dirty Dozen list. This type of theft is defined as the misuse of one's Social Security number or other personal information, often used to collect tax refunds. Unfortunately, people usually discover that their identity was stolen when they go to file a tax return and then realize someone else had already done it using their information. And this is why it's important to never enter your Social Security number on untrusted or unencrypted websites. And do not click on links or open attachments from unexpected messages. Now, what should you do if you go to prepare your tax return and realize that someone's already used your information to file a tax return? The IRS has many security measures in place to verify the accuracy of tax returns and the validity of Social Security numbers or individual taxpayer identification numbers, also referred to as ITINs, which were submitted. If you receive a notice from the IRS that leads you to believe that someone may have used your SSN or ITIN fraudulently, please notify the IRS immediately by contacting the person or the contact number on the notice that you received. If you are an actual or potential victim of identity theft and would like the IRS to mark your account to identify any questionable activity, please complete Form 14039, which is the identity theft affidavit. This form can be submitted online, via mail, or fax. You may also contact the IRS for specialized assistance at 1-800-908-4490. Again, it's 1-800-908-4490. These IRS employees are available to answer questions about identity theft and resolve any tax issues that resulted from identity theft. Another thing the IRS offers is Identity Protection PIN, which you will hear me refer to as IP PIN during this presentation. The IRS offers a proactive preventative tool that is designed to stop tax-related identity theft. By acting as a 6-digit authentication factor, it prevents criminals from filing fraudulent tax returns using your SSN. The program is voluntary and as of this year is open to anyone with an SSN or ITIN. Now, what are some of the key preventative features of IP PIN? Well, it provides fraud prevention. It stops thieves from filing a tax return using your name and SSN because the IRS will reject any electronically filed tax return lacking the current year's IP PIN. You get annual renewal. A new unique IP PIN is generated every year for the upcoming filing season. Just enter your 6-digit IP PIN when prompted by your tax software or provided to your trusted tax preparer when they're preparing your tax return. There is voluntary protection with this. While automatically issued to confirmed victims of identity theft, the Get an IP PIN tool on irs.gov website allows taxpayers to opt in proactively. It's an effective safeguard. It's highly effective at preventing reoccurring tax fraud and protecting against the theft of tax refunds. Now, something important to know, some of the things important for you to know if you are interested in applying for and obtaining an IP PIN. Once obtained, you must use your IP PIN on all future federal tax returns. If you lose your PIN, you can retrieve it online or request a new one, but filing without it will significantly delay your refund. The IRS will mail you a new notice every year with a new PIN. Every January is when you get the notice. Now, if you're interested in obtaining a PIN, the fastest way to do so is to request it through your online account in the IP PIN section of your profile page. If you don't already have an account with irs.gov, you do need to register for one to validate your identity. Now, at this point of the presentation, I'm going to turn it over to Special Agent Michael Royce to talk to you guys about the new fraud reporting tool.
We can't hear ya. No, I can't hear you. I know it was working during our test run. Not sure what happened there.
Can you bring that closer? Maybe.
Oh,
Just
I can hear you now. I'm not sure which one it's from.
Oh, okay. Either way, that's fine as long as people can hear me. Okay. Thank you, NECA. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. I'm a special agent with the IRS in the Philadelphia field office, and I'm also the public information officer for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. The one thing I wanted to touch on before we end our portion of the presentation Something that we're really excited about is a new fraud reporting tool, which was launched by the IRS this past February. The information I have is somewhat limited, unfortunately, because the reporting tool is so new, but I wanted to at least provide as much information as I can because I think it's going to be an extremely valuable tool in combating scams like the ones mentioned by David Neco. This new reporting tool I'm referring to will allow taxpayers to confidentially report scams and other related illegal activities. It consolidates multiple IRS fraud reporting options into a single centralized location, which is going to make it easier for taxpayers to report suspicious activity. The IRS foundational principle is that high-quality referrals are an invaluable tool in improving taxpayer service and enforcement. The Enterprise Referral Portal, I'm going to call it ERP, is a project to consolidate all public referrals into a single digital tip line on irs.gov. It can be found at the new Report Fraud button on the irs.gov homepage or at irs.gov/submit a tip, one word. It's a centralized hub for the public to report misconduct to the IRS. It centralizes forms and reporting channels from across the IRS. Members of the public can submit information on a wide variety of issues, including tax scams, tax fraud, ID theft, and return preparer misconduct. Basically, how it works is it asks a series of simple questions that will guide the user to the correct reporting avenue. So if you were scammed, suspect tax fraud, or had your information stolen, you can use this one website, one page to report it all. So what are the challenges the IRS has historically faced with referrals? The first challenge has always been getting the referral to the correct office. It's very easy for something to get lost in the shuffle when you have an organization as large as the IRS. The IRS always had many avenues for the public to report the misconduct. These various channels were scattered across irs.gov and used different methods to submit what you were going to submit. So, for example, you could submit it by email, fax, etc. So irs.gov wasn't the easiest website to navigate. This led taxpayers to file the wrong form or get frustrated and end up not reporting it at all. When tipsters file the wrong form, far too often it simply ended up in a box somewhere without any action being taken instead of being rerouted to the appropriate office. And additionally, it has been a challenge for the limited number of IRS staff to identify high quality referrals, like which ones are good, when you're flooded with, sometimes lower quality or duplicate referrals. So what are the solutions to these challenges? ERP is planned to address all of these challenges of reporting, routing, and filtering. It's being rolled out gradually. Right now, some elements are live and others are coming. What is currently live is the new central reporting hub that I mentioned, irs.gov/submit a tip. Both the public and government employees can use it. It was recently rolled out and asks simple prompts to guide submitters to the correct avenue. I mentioned that it's really very simple. On top of this, which is essential, the IRS has expanded their intake review team. They've even begun to review some referrals, and this review will expand to all referrals as systems and filters come online throughout this year and into the next. The vision, the IRS's vision, it's a goal of the IRS to drive up the number of high quality referrals, allowing all of their operating divisions to use their resources more efficiently. The aim is to increase the accuracy, completeness, and usability of the referrals, increase data analytics opportunities and timeliness, and detect emerging issues sooner and accelerate resolution of taxpayer issues. I went to the website myself and was pretty excited about what I saw. It really does take the guesswork and confusion out of referring all types of fraud to the IRS. So to conclude, I want to thank everyone for their time. I hope the information that and I provided is beneficial, and I believe this will help taxpayers identify and avoid getting caught up in what seems to be never-ending fraud schemes that are out there threatening the public. And one last thing, if anyone listening is interested in IRS criminal investigation, wants to learn more about what we do, you can get that information, the latest information at irs.gov/criminal investigation. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nneka, Michael, and Dave. We do have some questions. Some of our attendees pre-submitted a couple of questions, and I see a couple coming through the chat box. As a reminder, if you do have any questions on any of the content for either the team at the IRS or Dave from the PA Attorney General's office, you can put them in the chat box here. So one of the first questions we got, I know, Nneka, you talked about how to verify that your tax preparer is legitimate, but what are some steps that people can take to prepare themselves when they utilize an online filing service and they do it themselves, whether it be paid or free? How can they protect themselves, and what steps can they take to make sure that they're using a legitimate software?
Oh, well, this response is not really endorsing a specific software. There are a lot of softwares out there available for them to utilize. Also going on irs.gov, some of the tips I mentioned would be on there for you to confirm which one's a good one or what preparers you can use. As I mentioned, enrolled agents are also, their information would be available there. What I will say is something to prepare for besides making sure, let's say, for example, TurboTax Online is available. Make sure you're visiting the actual correct site, because, you know, scammers can spoof certain websites and make it seem legitimate. So as long as you're going to the right one, you're entering most of those have the ability for you to create an account or a portal. So hopefully it's more secure that way. Just avoid going on random websites, Google, typing in your personal information. But as mentioned earlier, enrolled agents are available. I believe that information is also available on irs.gov.
Awesome, thank you. And is it safer in terms of scams and frauds to file your taxes earlier in the season or closer to the deadline? Have you noticed that, you know, scams are more prevalent in one kind of period during the season compared to the other, or is it just all the same?
I would say it's pretty much all the same. It's year round. Some are even happening after tax season in some of the cases that we have seen. A good way to kind of protect yourself, as I mentioned, is identity theft protection pin. Now that it's a voluntary thing, you can just opt in if you want to. That's a good way to safeguard and make sure that your SSN is protected and not being utilized by someone else. It's almost like if you want to monitor your credit or just keep track of it, that you're alerted or get some type of alert that something is happening in your account. I was slightly liken that identity theft protection pin to that. So to best protect yourself, whether you choose to file when tax season starts in January toward the end of it, which I would advise to not wait last minute, just for general purposes. At least if you have the PIN, someone shouldn't be able to electronically file a tax return using your information.
Got it. And this next question is for both Dave and the team at the IRS. How do each of your offices prioritize and investigate cases? And what percentage of the reported cases actually lead to investigations or prosecutions?
Well, for the Office of Attorney General, we would review all the complaints. They would go before the specific part of the office. So our criminal division has many different parts of the office. We have insurance fraud, we have environmental crimes, we have drug trafficking, we have financial crimes, exploitation of older adults, et cetera, Medicaid fraud. So we would get the complaint form. It would be reviewed, sent to the proper part of the office. That section would then have an agent of the day would review the complaint and look for specific information. We would look to say that we have enough evidence to move forward, that we have authority over that particular matter. The Attorney General's office gets our authority through a law called the Commonwealth Attorneys Act. And there's only specific matters that we have jurisdiction initially over. So if it's not within our jurisdiction, it would be kicked back to go to the local police or a state or federal agency that would have appropriate jurisdiction at that time. Those other agencies then in turn could say that maybe they don't have the resources and they would be able to partner with us or bring the case back on a referral to the Attorney General's office. And then they would proceed with the investigative process. And we always want to have a prosecution and a good outcome. However, there are limitations under the law, limitations under timeline. The longer you wait to report, the less chance it is that we're going to have a great prosecution and a good case. So early reporting is important. Detailed reports in the complaint form are important, and availability to follow up with us. So in a nutshell, it's kind of like what we're looking at the AG's office.
So with IRSC, in a nutshell, we give each allegation that we receive a fair look. To not get too far into the weeds, we just have to let the evidence lead us in the direction where we need to go. As far as a percentage of prosecutions, I don't have that data readily available, but like, Dave had mentioned, there are a lot of things a lot of variables that go into investigations. But like I said, we give everything a fair look. Anything that comes across our desk, we look at objectively and let the evidence point us in the right direction.
Thanks for your insight on this. So this next question, I believe, is for the IRS. Not sure if your unit can answer this, but if not, Evelyn, we can certainly help you get some more information. But do you know how she can add her business as a trusted tax preparer listed on your website? Is that our business is able to do that, or how would they get verified with the IRS to be listed on your website?
The enrolled agent.
So yeah, that wouldn't necessarily be a question that we can give you the right answer, but there are plenty of tools on irs.gov where you can create an account, you can file a tax return, upload documents, find an authorized e-file provider. So if you're looking for information like that, I know you can apply for an employer ID number. And then in addition, it can help you find a tax preparer, somebody that could give you the right answer to that question. But all the information really, if you go through the website, it's really user friendly, and you could find pretty much any information you want.
Awesome. Well, I think that comes to the end of our questions here. I think in closing, I just want to give the floor to Dave and the team at the IRS. What are kind of the three biggest takeaways if people were to leave this call with any information? What are the top points that you wish that they would gather from this call?
I can give my thoughts on that. The biggest takeaways for me are just safeguarding your identity. That's where it starts. If you can protect it and, I don't know, hold it like the best secret that you could ever keep, that's what I would say, because once that gets out, it's almost no telling. There can be financial crimes, other different ways people can impersonate you or use your information. So the takeaway is protecting your identity. And I want to stress that because as I haven't been with IRS for over 20 years, some of this appears that people should know, but not everyone knows that. Not everyone knows that when you get that phone call demanding this or threatening that you have a choice to just ignore them, ignore the text messages, ignore the phone calls. But in my line of work, professionally, even in my personal life, I've seen people fall victims to things like this because it's just assumed that everyone knows, but they don't know. So the takeaway is safeguard your identity, protect your identity. You don't have to answer a question. You don't have to say yes, or here's my information. Take a moment, breathe, verify it, contact someone, because I think Dave touched on this earlier. When people choose to keep this to themselves, that's what the scammers want. Because you don't get to verify or talk to anyone and say, hey, this doesn't sound right. But as soon as you say that to someone, there could be someone who were in the same situation or experience, and they'll say, no, that happened to me. You don't have to respond. So takeaways, hold on for dear life to your identity.
And in doing that, I think a great tip is to let people know that you can freeze your information through the three major credit bureaus. So you have Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. All three of them are the major three credit bureaus. So they are holding your information. But if it gets out through a data breach, which sadly for the last 5 years, every year we have increased the number of data breaches that are being seen. So it's not going away. And that's when a company, a third party, someone else that you've entrusted to hold your information is compromised. So it's not your fault, but you're not in control either. So if you have a credit freeze, that would block anyone using your date of birth, your social security number, and name to obtain loans, lines of credit, mortgages, vehicle purchases, etc. So that's step one, I think, is very important. Everyone can do that. It's free. Just go out to the three major credit bureaus and get that done. At our website, attorneygeneral.gov, if you type in the search window, Identity Theft Toolkit, we have two nice checklists. One is a preventative checklist, and one is a checklist if you believe your identity has already been compromised, step by step what you need to do to protect yourself further. So that's a great tool. And again, verification is the key to all these scams. Do not act until you have found a way to verify the source correctly, and take your time, slow it down, speak to someone about it. If you don't trust that you're upset with your family knowing about it, find a dear friend, find someone else that you can reach to, social worker, somebody in the community. Go to your place of worship, talk to the congressman's office, call me, call the attorney general. We'll talk to you. We're more than happy to do that. But the key is to get someone else involved to give you another perspective before you act. Once your finances are gone, it is nearly impossible to recover fully from those type of losses. So we do have a scam squad that does try to replace some of the money that you may have been compromised with and lost, but we cannot guarantee that to be a successful return to you. We have in our first year brought back 1.2 million to Pennsylvania residents who were victimized by scams and fraud. But let's not have you become a victim. That's the first step, right? Prevention is the key.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that. So in closing, I just want to thank Dave, NECA, and Michael for joining us today. We had a lot of valuable insight from both the state and federal perspective. As mentioned several times in this call, our office is here available as a resource anytime you need us. You can call any one of our district offices or DC office, or you can log on to mckenzie.house.gov for some more information and to submit any contacts there. As mentioned, this webinar will be recorded and it will be available to view online on our webinar page, and I will send out a notification to all registrants with that link once it is published. So please share this information with all your family and friends. I know there are several constituents and community members, not just in our district, but across the nation who could use some of this information as well. So on behalf of Congressman McKenzie and our office, thank you so much for joining us today, and you have a wonderful rest of your week.